Welcome back everyone dito sa latest episode ng Quadcom -1. This time naman si Krista na hindi natin kasama, but we're so lucky kami ni Mark Gambo na kasama natin ang ano ba, Man of the Month. Parang
Yes.
every 3 days nasa ano na naman kasama
The
natin.
year of the year.
Oo, Man of the Year. Saan na yung FTMM calendar? Ano yung naalala mo yun? Yung
Oh,
calendar ng mga
yung trending
notorious?
calendar, no?
Parang
Pwede si Attorney
February,
Just every month.
March, April, isang quarter puro si Falsis nandyan. So, Attorney Falsis, before we go to more serious stuff kami ni Mark, can we start with very serious stuff? Kamusta yung debate nyo ni Barzaga at saka Montolfo as a moderator? Because just to remind everyone, before all of this bardagulan across
Okay
even...
naman. Okay na okay. Ano kami?
Oo nga eh. I mean, just to remind
Blockbuster.
people, how
Blockbuster.
OG, just to remind people how OG you are, Jez, no? So, I think the first time ever sa Pilipinas nagkaroon ng something debate between DDS and the whatever other side. Actually, kasama ko si Jez nung dinebate namin a certain person na hindi na worth mentioning kasi baka mag-feeling na gusto magdebate sa atin. Pero ang tapang ni Jez, and this is at the height of power of Duterte's 2019, di ba? Yung mga 93% approval pa ni Digong. So imagine, kami ni Jez, Abel Quintos, and couple of friends, and then the room is full of DDS, pero wala kaming pake, di ba? I think that was the most lopsided debating.
And even 2016 kay Tito Boy Abunda, nandun ka na,
Ay,
si
oo. Pero
Lenny
hindi pa din
Claudio.
mga DDS na all the way ang ano natin. Pero ito, kahit sila pa yung mga home court advantage, hotel court advantage, lahat na advantage, wala kami pake ni Jess. So,
Sila naghamon noon eh. Naghamon sila. Si Franco Mabanta, si Sasasot. Akala nila hindi ka kakase. Kumasa ka. Eh ako
hindi
naman,
nila
I was
alam,
there.
patola tayo, patola. Tsaka we're
Ikaw talaga
professional
yung
debater.
doon, star of the event. You versus Sas. Tapos kami, kami noon, parang moderator kuno-kuno.
Kayo ni Trixie Angeles, di ba? Kayo ni Trixie. No, but we had a final, di ba, may panel na lahat na tayo, yung parang nagbardagulan lahat. Di ba, towards the end, may na second part pa nun eh. So, super, super idol ko yan si Attorney Jess dahil,
West Philippine Sea. 'Di ba? Original ka
oo,
din, West Philippine Sea. Fine-fake news na nila noon, lalo na si Sas sa mga international law arguments niya, kahit hindi naman siya
Wala
scholar
bang
talaga.
video nun? Meron pa
meron
bang
yun!
video yung
Ba't di mo
yung
nakita, Mark?
pangyayari na
Meron
yun?
yun. Nire-repost na nga ng DDS every few years thinking.
Hanapin natin, hanapin ko mamaya.
Nasa YouTube
Pasisend ko
lang
sa'yo.
yan. Natatawa ako, nire-repost sila kasi parang proud na proud sila. Parang, wait lang, have you done debating like that? I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Ato.
Saka,
Yes.
after all the years, you were proven correct, 'di ba? Ano ba yung mga arguments ni Sas? Wala. Debunk ng UNCLOS, debunk ng arbitral ruling, debunk ng current stance, West Philippine Sea Transparency Initiative. So, talo siya.
Well, Jez, I think people have to understand, the two of us, we did competitive debating sa university level, sa UP, ikaw both UP Law and UP. So, I mean, I just want people to understand, medyo unfair rin kasi kami may competitive training kami. Professional na in the case of Jez Falsis. But Jez, I'm
Oh,
sure,
but going back to
yeah,
Kiko Barzaga,
no,
ang
exactly,
chismis
that's
kasi
my tanong.
ito,
How do you compare Montulfo moderation and Kiko Barzaga dun sa event natin sa back in the day? Sorry, we're cutting a little bit because of this fourth world internet natin. Sige, go Falsis. Give us the lay of the land.
as to Kiko Barzaga, everybody can watch it for themselves naman eh. Pero ang chismis ko na lang, close kami ngayon. He vibers me a lot. Nagtatanong siya about ish. Oh, kasi syempre ang hinama naman talaga natin is attorney Rowena Guanag. Siya talaga hinahamon natin mag-debate. Pero ayaw niyang kumasa, si Kong Kiko nag-post na willing siya mag-substitute. Akala nila siguro hindi ko kakagatin. E di sabi ko, okay, okay lang din kahit si Congressman Kiko. So, sinet ng producers ni Tito Mon, Ramon Tulfo, at ni Attorney Clint sa kanilang YouTube tsaka Facebook. So, natuloy naman. Ako naman, I can work with anyone. I can talk with DDS, civil, in real life, respectfully. So, kahit si Congressman Kiko yan. I didn't expect na, magbabardagulang kami. Sa akin, okay magka-debate, pero it turned out na naging conversation na lang siya. Kasi hindi siya prepared masyado sa mga facts that I had about VP Sara, about insertions, about flood control, about his own family. Hindi siya handa to answer yung mga questions about corruption. So, mukha namang na-enlighten siya and naniniwala siya na I come from a good place. I come from a place na ayoko talaga sa sinusuportahan. So, nagchat kami, nagte-text kami ngayon sa Viber.
Wait, beshi na kayo?
Ka-text meow mo na siya.
Nagko-comment nga, tirahin ko siya eh.
Post.
Naiya ako ngayon. Pag tinira ko siya, baka malungkot siya.
pero ang nag-stand out na clip dun sa debate nyo, yung part na siya, kurap ba yung pamilya niya, sinungaling. Kasi it's so easy. Sabihin na, hindi kami corrupt. Mas corrupt si ganyan. Mas corrupt si ganyan. Hindi kami corrupt. Hindi niya masagot. Ang dami pang paligoy-ligoy na mental gymnastics na ginagamit. Pero
Nadamay pa.
what did you think of that?
Nadamay pa si Nelson Mandela.
Oo.
Nelson
Yung
Mandela
Mandela, hindi ko nakayanan eh.
Wala namang accusation of corruption at political prisoner siya based on bogus charges. Nadamay pa na si Nelson Mandela nga daw legally pinapakulong or guilty, pero in reality hindi naman daw guilty. Parang yun yung palusot niya na pwede daw maging mukhang masama, mukhang malinis, or mukhang madumi legally, pero politically hindi.
Pero ang simple ng tanong, di ba? Nagnanakaw ba kayo o hindi? Magnanakaw ba? Corrupt ba kayo o hindi? Diba? Ang bilis na sagutin ng ganun. So, anong nag-stand out sa niya? I mean, yung may nagbago ba sa impression mo sa kanya from just seeing him sa television na tapos ngayon nakasama mo siya tapos nagte-text pa kayo? May nagbago ba sa tingin mo sa kanya?
Wala, kasi when I watch him on his interviews, Jessica So, kahit kanino, when I see his Facebook post, ang dating sa akin kasi bata pa siya eh. Ako pinagdaanan ko na din yun eh. Na na parang naive, na I think I can do anything, pero sa totoo lang, ang dami ko pang kakaining bigas, may gatas pa ako sa labi. I'm now on the other side eh. And even now, I cannot say na perfect tayo, di ba? Every day, I study, every day, I try to learn and read about current events and industries. So, siya kasi talagang mukhang naive pag sa interview na akala niya alam niya lahat. But apparently, he doesn't. Kasi yung mga facts na sinasabi ko, hindi niya alam.
Maski yung mga talking points sinasabi ko, kahit yung mga simpleng DDS talking points na alam mong ito yung sasagot nila parate pag sa ganyang issue, hindi niya kabisado hindi niya masyadong. Sa bagay, kailan lang naman siya naging DDS talaga, di ba? Before
Kailan lang siya
nag-unity
na-interview
siya.
and all. I mean, di ba Mark? I mean, kailan lang naman siya na-interview. I mean, we got to know about his existence. Wala naman anong taong na yan. At saka yun yung criticism ko,
At
Jess, of
yung
sa
napapress
media.
hard.
Yeah, the media never...
Kasi yung interview sa kanya minsan soft eh.
Exactly. Soft interview lahat. Ang tawag doon, meron term dyan yung mga pocket interviews lang. So I think you're the only one who did proper journalism.
Kid gloves.
All that. Exactly, yeah. Fluff piece pala, fluff ang tawag dyan.
And yung nung kinall out mo siya doon sa yung ginawa niya kay ako, the late congressman, hindi nako-call out kapag nagiging bastos sila, kapag may nasabi mo sa kanya na you were disrespectful and
We know si JPE and si President Duterte, ICC. So obvious sa akin, and yet he celebrated the death of Pong Acop. So may inconsistency there or hypocrisy on his part.
Ito tanong ko, tingin mo saan nanggagaling yung vision niya? Deal with. Medyo alam natin eh. Kunyari si Guanzon, alam mong ambisyosa, may ambition sa si Leandro Leviste, alam
Kasi baka umiyak na siya eh. Nag-CR break pa nga siya eh. Ah, ang aking ano dyan, educated guess and analysis is nung namatay kasi si Kong PD Barzaga, yung tatay niya, namatay 2024, ang naging caretaker ng kanyang district ay si Speaker Martin Romualdez.
Okay.
And unlike yung mga ginagawa ngayon, kasi noon wala pang Supreme Court ruling eh. Ngayon, kailangan may special elections. Noon, the mother, si Mayor Jenny Barzaga, and si Kiko Barzaga, they wanted special elections para maupo na kaagad si Kiko Barzaga. So one, the House did not do that. The House did not give a recommendation sa COMELEC to hold a special election. One. Second, we should remember 2024, that's the height of flood control as well. No? So may accusation si Kiko Barzaga kay Martin Romualdez na kinorner or hindi napunta sa Dasmariñas or maybe sa mga Barzagas yung flood control projects and the other allocations ng Dasmariñas
Asma.
district, hindi daw napunta. Allegedly, the insinuation is napunta kay Speaker Martin. So, personal yung galit niya.
May axe
That's
to
why he's
grind. May axe to grind. Oh,
may
I
axe to
didn't know
grind.
that backstory at all.
Parang si ano lang yan, Rowena Guanzon, na humihingi siya kay Martin Romualdez noong 2022 na ilagay na siya sa role of congressman para hindi na magkaroon ng jurisdiction yung COMELEC at hindi na pumunta sa Supreme Court, pumunta muna sa House Electoral Tribunal yung kaso niya. Kaso hindi siya pinaupo. Hindi siya binigyan ng certification of assumption ni Martin Romualdez. So galit na galit siya.
So hindi ito opportunistic pakit sa DDS lang. May hugot lang, nilabas ang hugot, nagkataon lang, swak yan sa DDS narrative. And then sinakyan niya basically from there. And then luckily for him, no journalist took him really to account dun sa mga ek-ek niya until you. Pero the moderator was Montulfo. Kasi ang weird ng position niya, nandun kayo sa
The
gitna,
host.
para kayong cockfighting na nakaganyan kayong pareho. Tapos dalawang nandun. What was that setup, bro? Parang ang
Ang
awkward ng
awkward.
setup. Ang awkward.
Totoo. Totoo. Sabi ko nga, ang suggestion ko na Tito Mon tsaka Attorney Clint. So, podcast kasi nila yon. As their podcast, nag-invite sila ng guest, usually isa lang. Eto nga, since may debate, willing sila mag-host, tinabi kami doon. Sabi ko, next time, dapat the host should be on the sofa. And then kaming, kung may debate man, magkabilang dulo, lalo na pag si Libayan ng kadebate ko, yak, ayoko siya kaupo. No way.
Pero yun nga ang awkward eh. Parang, hindi ko alam kung maawa ko sa'yo kay Barzaga or something.
Huwag
Wala
ka
na
maawa
bang
sa akin
venue?
kasi huwag ka maawa sa akin kasi walang problema sa akin. Kahit iupo mo yan sa akin, pag may sumuntok sa akin, kakayanin ko yan. Nako,
Hindi,
bardagulan
Jess.
yan.
Actually, naawa ko sa'yo kasi alam ko you're holding back. Naawa ko in a sense, alam ko, you could have done way more. Kaso parang ang awkward, katabi mo. Tapos nakikita mo yung nanginginig na yung katabi mo, hindi na makasabay. Yung parang maawa ka sa kalaban mo. Parang it feels so
At
bad.
saka no joke. Parang si Sara Duterte, yung CR break niya, akala namin, jingle lang siya. Pagbalik niya, sabi niya, ay, nag-number 2 ako.
Pero 20 minutes siya, di ba? 20 minutes.
Yeah, that's enough time for number 2 kasi kung number 1 lang yan, 5 minutes or
Hindi,
less
parang
lang yan.
20 minutes kayo nag-debate, 20 minutes CR break, di ba?
Nagano pa kasi siya ng sand. Nagganon pa. Kaya matagal.
Oo, kasi mga
Husay.
pusa,
Grabe,
di ba?
Oo, ganun pa siya. Kaya tumagal. Kayo talaga,
Ikaw
oh.
nagsabi niyan, ikaw nagsabi niyan, ikaw nagsabi niyan, Mark.
Oo,
Hindi,
alam mo,
aminado naman siya.
alam mo,
Napusa siya eh.
Jets, si Mark
Oo.
nagiging bardagul, nagiging masamang tao na rin si Mark Gamboa. Tingnan mo yung isang episode kay
Oo nga.
Tristan, ang mean niya, kaming dalawa, ako pa ngayong ingat eh. Siya yung tira ng tira. So, Jess, wala ka ng plano debatein si Gucci. Hindi ka pinapansin talaga ni Gucci? Kahit ano kasi
Ay,
bro,
papansin,
professional ka, ay sorry, naka-Burberry ka, di ba? Naka-Burberry ka na.
mahirapan siya, papansinin din niya tayo sooner or later. Kasi sinasabi niya siya daw dapat i-invite sa house at siya ang debatihin ng mga congressman. Kung may ganun siyang challenge, aba, oh, onting ano na lang, onting usog na lang, dapat debatihin niya ako kasi hindi naman niya kalibel yung mga congressman eh.
Hindi, natawa ako doon na hindi ka daw ka-level niya kasi candidate siya for Senate. Since when? Nung mag-feeling ka mag-candidate, biglang meron ka ng ibang level sa buhay. Sana magka-candidate ka na rin, Jess, para lang.
Tsaka hindi pa naman siya nagpa-file ng certificate of candidacy eh.
Kaya nga,
Oh,
hindi ko
matakot
maintindihan.
siya. Matakot siya kasi pag ako nag-file ng certificate of candidacy, wala namang mawawala sa akin kasi barangay kagawad pa din ako. Lalo na kung manalo ulit ako for
Feeling
4
ko,
years.
disruptor ka. Baka kayo ni Ronald, manalo pa nga kayo sa lagay na yan eh. Kasi they're trying to be disruptor, di ba? Yung trying hard na disruptor, wala naman silang ano, di ba? Ang problema, pag pumatol na tayo sa kanila, biglang may gets nila, shit, ito yung mga totoong disruptor talaga na walang yan.
Tapos si Guanzon
Bibigyan,
wala dun sa ano dun sa Rage na coalition na launch. Na
wala siya sa
Oo,
Ridge.
naharang kaya ni Atty.
Kasi nandun
Topacio.
si Topacio. Ito,
Oo,
bibigyan
hindi
ko
siya
kayo ng
nakasama
chismis ha.
doon.
Bigyan ko kayo ng chismis.
Okay,
May
yan, sige.
isang abogado. May isang abogado talagang matikas ang tindig niya. Tikas ang tindig. Si Tikas Tindig na lawyer, nag-send ng feelers doon sa isa kong kaibigan or kasama sa trabaho, willing daw makipag-meeting sa akin dahil gusto daw niyang pabagsakin talaga itong isang dragon. Itong dragon, talagang tuloy ko daw yung ginagawa ko. Sabi ko, wow, the enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Ano bang Viber group ngayon? So meron kang meow sa Viber group ko. Meron ka ng ano, meron ka ng enemy of my enemy. Saan ka? Baka mamaya nasa SMNI ka na, Jeza. The ratings are going. Baka
Baka,
ma-recruit ka.
baka akalain nyo DDS ako ha. Hindi. Lumalapit lang yung ibang DDS kasi alam nila, maayos ako kausap.
Maayos ka kausap. Kaya nga nagtaka ako. Naawa ka pa sa kalaban mo kay Meow Meow. Parang na-trauma siya sa'yo.
Okay na yon. Hayaan mo na yan si Meow Meow. Kasi
He gained a new friend. He gained a new textmate. Okay na yun, di ba? Not
May
bad.
Viber group na. Yung yung isang
Oo,
kababayan ko, hindi mo daw papatulan. Yung dinabata ni Kristan. Yung isa pang attorney na kababayan ko from
Hindi,
Baguio.
si Libayan nga, sa April
Ah!
27.
matutuloy. April
Ay, sure.
27, kay Ramon Tulfo din.
Sa Ramon Tulfo, hindi siya sa online. In person.
Yes, kasi ito lang Richard bakit ko naman hayaan na kumita siya sa akin tapos siya din ang moderator at host nung debate, 'di ba? Bumaba siya dito sa Maynila doon sa office at
Taga Manila
headquarters ni
talaga
Tito Mon
siya.
Tulfo.
At I think based siya sa Manila. Pero,
Base ba siya sa Manila? Akala ko Baguio.
based siya in Baguio boy yan like me. Pero I think parehas kayo based in Manila. Sa tutuloy, saan yung rules? Ano bang rules? 1 hour
April
debate?
27.
April 27.
Kahit wala nang rules, kahit walang rules, hindi naman ako magpapatalo
Parang
sa boses
kinakabahan
ni
ako saan mapunta to. Parehas kayo malakas na personality, bro eh. Si Mondul po, magaling ba? Kasi
alam mo Richard tsaka Mark, wala pa akong show na napuntahan na sinabing ang hina ng boses mo attorney. Wala, wala, wala. Walang makakatalo sa akin.
Baka shouting match yung mangyari sa 27. Isa pa yan, hindi din papatalo yun. Diyos ko po.
Mark, ano kaya sa tingin mo?
Exciting yan.
Mark, parang sila ni Chris at saka ni Jez, no? Biglang nag-Super Saiyan 3 sila, no? Past 6 months. No, Jess, parang kayo ni Kristan, parang nag-next level kayo bigla. Nagkame-hame. Tapos nag-ganon, super naging blonde na yung hair niyo, ganyan. Where, where is this coming from, Jess? Sa tingin niyo kailangan na mag-level? Are we smelling blood? Is that what's happening now?
Feeling ko that's a good sign din talaga for our movement kasi nung flood control, talagang the awareness of the people and the interest of the Filipino people was very high. So si Lovely Granada, hindi lang ako, si Christian Esguerra, kayo, Shelo Magno, etc. Si Ronald Llamas gumawa ng sariling page niya. So from the
Excuse me,
flood control, talagang
Associate Justice Ronald Llamas. Let's be very clear about this.
si Edwin Lashierda, tsaka si Barry Gutierrez, lahat naman
Hindi, hindi, hindi. Jez,
nag
Erwin Lashierda. Nakita mo yun doon sa survey na Erwin.
presidential or senatorial.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think ang maganda diyan, tayo, we just do our job. Talagang dati pa naman tayo nagko-call out, nagpo-post, nagko-comment, nagba-blog. So napansin ng tao kasi may interest or may hunger nung flood control scam, nung pagkakatalo ng unit team, pagbuwag nila, pag-aaway nila, itong impeachment. Meron talagang gutom ang mga tao. So tayo, luckily, pinansin nila tayo and we hope to keep their trust.
Wow, talagang pang Mr. Universe ang sagot. Okay, ito na, patulan na natin. What is this whole 80 ang grade ni Sara Duterte sa bar? Kasi to be honest, mystery sa amin. Paano pumasa ng... Ayoko na maging mean, but like, it's still a mystery. I mean, yes, Digong also passed the bar, but like, you would have expected may mga minimums ka makukuha once lumampas ka sa ano na yan. Butas ng karahay na. Jess, can you put things in the context? I know you just posted kanina lang na pathetic yung ganyan, mga great thing. It's because it's about who you serve, what you do. Pero sige, patulan natin yung grade 80. What does that even mean? Ano bang hanash ni Sarah?
Well, alam mo naman sa mga diktador or pasista, no, they do not like personal attacks on their character or the mythology that they're trying to build. So, ang mythology na gusto nila talaga si Sara, magaling na abogado kasi ang magiging kalaban niya for 2028 is si Leni Robredo, which dati
Na
pa
abogado
may
rin.
propaganda against na abogado din. And may propaganda na second taker si Leni, bumagsak sa bar, hindi magaling na abogado since way before. So, etong statement ni Sara ang nakakatawa, sabi niya out of all the lies, ito ang papatulang ko. Hindi niya pinatulan yung ibang mga sinabi ni Madriaga. Ang pinatulan niya ay itong kailangan daw niya ng tulong para pumasa ng San Sebastian kay Attorney
Na-hurt siya
Kilala.
doon. Doon siya na-hurt.
Na-hurt siya doon. Kasi nga, ano niya yun personal mythology niya yun. Na abogado ako and magaling ako, kaya pwede ako magpresidente.
Which is the opposite of Digong, di ba? Remember si Digong style niya, pasang-awa lang ako, di ba? Yung self-deprecating false humility, yun yung style ni Digong. But Sarah is different, no? Si Sarah mukhang hindi ganun ka... Kasi you have to be secure, eh. You have to be confident to self-deprecate. Yun yung wala sa kanya ever since, di ba? Jess and Mark.
Mark, ikaw, what do you think?
Baka that's what makes her more dangerous eh. Pag si Digong may pa may kumbaga he can laugh at himself pa. Minsan he would do self-deprecating jokes. Si Sarah baka nakita natin how she would lose her temper, how she would sometimes be unstable, emotionally unstable. So si Digong calculated pa eh. Alam mo minsan yung pag mura-mura niya kapag yung mga inaaway niya, alam mo calculated, more like an evil genius pa nga minsan lumalabas eh. Kay Sarah, baka she wants to be on the level of her father, pero hindi, medyo malayo eh. At doon siya nasasaktan dahil merong mga allegations si Madriaga ng ganun sa kanya.
Na parang pasang-awa or parang nakakaawa yung kanyang effort ng pumasa. Parang,
Oo. Questions her
competence. Pero, to be fair,
competence.
I'm not doing this because may ma-accuse na naman sa atin ng misogynist. To be fair, there's a very good article I suggest by um, Pia Renada about yung episode na nag-UFC si Sara Duterte. And according to Pia Renada, and I think this was also quoted by Patricia Evangelista, yung isang kasama natin sa Debating World dun sa book niya. Um, Parang kinakaya ni Sara yung episode na yan. Pero nung nakausap siya about it, I think it was Pia Renada, parang she always felt na she has to parang step up dun sa imahe ng anong hinahanap ng tao sa isang strong leader. At ang problema, yung imahe na yan ay yung kanyang ama. So she's actually not very proud na naging ganyan siya. So I think a part of Sara Duterte would have wanted to be a different Sara Duterte. Pumasang naging abogado, maayos. And I'll try to be fair because when I was in Davao a few years back, tinanong ko actually si Sara daw matinong kausap. She talks to experts on whether it's how to use new technology dun sa weather conditions. Very consultative daw sa experts. So I'm not gonna say more kasi magigets ng tao sino mga experts na nakausap ko. Si Digong daw yung bara-bara, yung macho lang. So I'm not saying I'm sympathetic per se, but I'm empathetic na I feel dahil dun sa toxic masculinity ni Digong, it always puts some sort of a weird pressure dun sa kanyang mga anak. And nagkataon, si Sarah lang yung matino na nag-aral, naging abogado, etc. So, so if I were to write a book also about the other Dutertes and all, yun yung magiging angle ko eh. Na she always unfairly was under certain gaze na kung bagang expectation sa kanya maging macho sa katulad ng tatay niya, etc. But yun nga eh, you could see there's an unfairness and misogyny there. And so also there's, tama nga Mark, no? There's also some sort of insecurity na, andito na, sexist na nga yung society, misogynist na nga. Tapos she doesn't also have the wit and spontaneity ng kanyang ama. So, kasi I'm doing what Jess was doing with Kiko Barzaga. No? We want to understand where is this coming from, 'di ba? Parang yeah, it's a way of psychoanalysis, of course, based on proper research. What do you think, Jess? Do you think I'm being too nice here, Jess? But I'm just trying to understand where is this
No,
insecurity and all of this coming from?
no, you're absolutely correct, no? Yung insecurity nga na yan is because she's living under the shadows of a father na talagang mas malaki yung mythology or yung belief ng mga tao sa tatay niya, and she thinks she has to live up to those standards. So, babae siya. So, hindi talaga niya mamimit yun. That's one. But second, doon naman sa sarili niyang achievements, that's why she really wants to protect yung kanyang reputation na she passed the bar on her own skill, na graduate siya ng San Sebastian without the help or patronage of Attorney Kilala. And may I just add, the reason why she's insecure, the insecurity stems from what? Kasi nga, 4 years na siya sa San Beda Law. And then she had to
Umabot ng fourth
transfer.
year? Akala ko second, third year lang umalis na. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know that. Fourth year
4
pa.
years na sa San Beda. Nag-transfer to San Sebastian. Pero Richard,
Dahil
Mark,
hindi nakapasa?
wag na wag
Anong problema? Bakit nag-transfer? Sorry, what do you mean no?
sasabihin ko pa lang, Richard, wag na wag niyong tatanungin bakit siya nag-transfer after 4 years. 4 years na sa San Beda pero she felt compelled. She was forced by life to transfer to San Sebastian. Wag na wag niyong tatanungin yan kay Sarah.
Ano nga? Like, no, seriously. Like, kasi I know some people na kabatch nila or kabatch na, okay, I cannot say more kasi malalaman naman sino mga sources ko. Kasi, I'll be careful. So, ikaw, like, no, what happened? Bakit siya lumipat? Sorry, I don't know what's going on. May
Si,
siya, mystery eh.
si Attorney Bruce Rivera na yumao na, kabatch niya sa San Beda, not San
Your partner, your
Sebastian.
ex-partner sa radio
Oh.
program. Oh,
Pero si Bruce, graduate sa San Beda Law. Hindi siya lumipat ng San Sebastian. Pag naka 4 years ka na sa San Beda Law, bakit ka palilipat sa San Sebastian? And Sara Duterte has never answered that publicly. So ako, I cannot answer for you, Richard, kasi nga, ang sinasabi ko sa iyo, wag na wag mong tatanungin yan kay Sara.
sensitive siya. That's your point. Kasi with Digong, we know na he was involved in a shooting incident with fellow San Beda law student. And it was a very serious issue. Again, andun yung sa libro ni Patricia Evangelista na um, apparently he was supposed to be kicked out, but one of the persons who interceded, yung kanyang frat among others, would later on end up as the Human Rights Commissioner, I think, sa Davao, which is like a weird, weird word. So you could see na these people were not even supposed to be lawyers. I mean, they were not, or at least
Ito,
graduate of San Beda, yeah.
ito facts to, no? So hindi ko sasagutin bakit siya nag-transfer to San Sebastian. But Duterte himself and si Sara admitted, Duterte shared na tumatawag si Sara noon kay Tatay Digong umiiyak na ang hirap ng succession or inheritance na class, parang bumagsak yata siya sa exam. So, the fact is, ito facto, nahirapan siya sa law studies niya nung nasa San Beda siya. So hindi ko na lang din alam at hindi ko sasagutin bakit siya nag-transfer to San Sebastian.
Okay. All right, okay. So there's even more layer. Okay, we'll not go there. We'll just respect na lang whatever. Ikaw talaga, Jess, may mga marites ka pang ganyan. No, I was like looking from a technical.
Ikaw yung tanong na tanong daw, Richard eh.
No,
You were
basta
pressing Jess eh.
No, honestly, I'm very curious kasi yung kay Digo, ni-research ko talaga what happened, diba, dun sa San Beda days niya. But yung kay Sarah, always shrouded in mystery eh. Hindi ko alam talaga mangyari. So I have some contacts now who are also from
So
San Beda.
dapat ma-invite mo si VP Sara sa mga show mo. And then
Actually,
tanungin
there was
mo.
a window once upon a time, but I'm not sure about now. But let's see, you never know, diba? You never know. Mark, anong basa mo ulit, Mark? Let's set the tone, no? Dun sa Madriaga hearing. Nasaan na tayo sa Sara impeachment hearing before balikan natin si Jess? Habang kumakain si Attorney G.
Yun. So, presentation na ng evidence dyan sa Justice Committee sa House. So, 4 na araw. Unang araw nung Tuesday. Nandun ako. I attended as kasama dun sa media. So, we watch dun sa first floor, dun sa malaking screen, si Madriaga. For the first time, narinig natin kung paano siya magsalita, yung kanyang body language, nakita natin, at yung kanyang affidavit, binasa niya in front of lahat ng tao doon. Kinuwento niya yung ano eh, di ba? Nakwento niya yung buong history niya with the Duterte family, starting with the dad, where he served as a bagman eh. Ganun yung ayos sa kwento niya, bagman siya, runner siya, pinabili siya ng Ducati for Sara, pinabili siya ng mga sasakyan, nakapangalan sa kanya. Ginamit yung kanyang pangalan to open bank accounts. Doon nagre-release ng mga malalaking amount ng pera sa iba't ibang mga tao. So, kumbaga, in-establish niya muna yung kanyang connection with the Dutertes. Okay? And I think, ang isang magandang ginawa din nga niya at the end ng kanyang mga pag-uusap is pumirma siya ng bank waiver para to check kung legit ba lahat ng kanyang mga sinasabi dun sa kanyang salaysay. Okay? So, that's one. So, in-establish niya yon. Tapos nung napunta doon kay Sara, yung nakwento niya na parang binilin ni Digong si Sara sa kanya, and he was given money, funds to support the candidacy of Sara Duterte. Nung una, for president, kaya nabuo yung isip Pilipinas, which is Inday Sara is my president. So bumuo sila iba't ibang chapters. Tapos nung part na na si Sara decided to be the VP of BBM, nagkaroon sila daw ng Zoom call. Tapos while reading yung kanyang affidavit, bigla na lang naluha si Madriaga. Tapos parang nahihirapan siyang to continue. He became emotional. Nagtaka din yung mga tao doon. Do you need a break? Ganun. Bakit ka nagkaganyan? So parang nalungkot lang daw siya. And yung naisip namin at that point, na itong si Madriaga truly loved siguro the Dutertes. There was the sense na talang he was truly devoted to them. Na boss niya, pero naniniwala siya talaga sa kanila, and siguro syempre kasama na doon mas mabibigyan siya ng mas magandang kabuhayan para sa pamilya niya. Pero he truly believed dito kay Sara Duterte. Kaya ganun na lang siya naluha, naiyak. And he felt na nalungkot siguro siya kasi nga he was betraying yung pamilya na pinagsilbihan niya, and he once loved. Kaya gano'n na lang siya nasaktan. Siyempre sasabihin ng iba, drama lang yon, pero nandun kami, nakita namin na yung
Right.
emotions flowing out of from him.
At hindi yan
Yung lungkot
fake,
niya,
oo.
naging galit nung pinag-usapan na si Harry Roque. Yun, yun. From una, kinukwento niya yung kay Digong, tapos lungkot dahil dun kay Sara Duterte, supporting Sara, tapos galit. Unong pinag-usapan na itong si Harry Roque, and of course ang importante ding revelations is kung bakit siya lumantad, kasi may tinulungan siyang mga farmers nga na from the land grabbing issue sa Bataan, yung first Bataan na connected kay Harry Roque sa kanyang misis.
Right.
O tapos sinumbong daw niya kay VP Sara, pero hindi pinansin. Hindi pinansin ni Sara. Tapos umabot sa punto na doon na nagkaroon na siya ng kaso daw na kidnapping, na abogado si Harry
So yun yung
Roque,
parang ano
at
niya,
hindi
yun yung
siya
hugot niya.
natulungan.
Diyan galing yung kanyang, parang yung
Oo eh.
cracks in the coalition is because of Harry Roque. Na believe
Oo
niya
eh.
kasi every inch as good as his dad. So baka may ganyan dynamic
Yun.
na basta every inch.
Every inch, oo. So siguro he felt betrayed. He felt betrayed na siya yung nilaglag. Pinili si Harry Roque na kampihan at hinayaan siya na makulong facing this, he was saying na made up charges. Diba? So ako wala akong idea doon sa kaso niya ng kidnapping. So I really couldn't say, hindi na naman natackle doon sa hearing masyado, and hindi siya kasama doon sa affidavit. Pero yung kita mo yung galit and yung inis niya dito kay Harry Roque. Kung pinigilan lang siguro nila Sara itong si Harry Roque na wag kasuhan itong si Madriaga, kung talagang made up lang naman yung kidnapping na yon, baka hindi siya lumantad na ganyan. Baka hindi niya nilaglag yung mga dati niyang boss, dati niyang amo. Kaya, ayun. And syempre, aside from that, he gave details nung kanyang pagdi-deliver ng pera, kung saan dinadala, saan binibigyan. So, ayun. So, para coming from his affidavit in support doon sa impeachment complaint na final against Sara Duterte.
So, Jess, thank you so much, Mark, for that. No? Hindi ko alam pala na nag-in-person ka talaga. Nag-psychoanalysis na rin pala si Dr. Freud, Mark Gamboa. Ikaw, Jess, I know you have to leave in 10 to 15 minutes. What is your read dito sa whole Madriaga expose? Kasi hindi ka namin kasama dun sa isang Quadcom. And also, where do you see mga scenarios, especially from the Supreme Court angle, in terms of Senate angle? Saan mo nakita mapunta yan? Ano yung legal analysis mo?
Well, Madriaga is really credible kasi the way he presents himself and yung sa story niya, sabi nga ni Mark, ako ang takeaway ko dun sa pag-iyak, it proves he was a DDS. DDS si Madriaga noon. Kaso nga lang, napilitan because of circumstances, hindi siya pinaniwalaan, siya pa yung nilaglag, pinaboran si Harry Roque, imbes na siya na parang dapat siya yung mas trusted. Sa belief niya siguro, no? Na dapat siya yung mas trusted, siya yung nilaglag. So, talagang ano yan, most credible witnesses that we have in Philippine history were insiders na trinidor yung amo nila. Let's just look at Chavit Singson na inambush allegedly ni ERAP or pina-ambush ni ERAP kaya siya nag-testify. Si Ben Hurluy na dinetain at quote-unquote kinidnap or illegal detention ni Napoles, kaya nagkaroon ng pork barrel scandal. Kasi kung wala yun, kung walang ambush kay Chavit, walang illegal detention kay Ben Hurluy, malabo na sisingaw yung mga ganong issues na nilabas nitong mga witnesses. So, etong kay Madriaga, we don't have to think he's a saint. Hindi siya santo. Pero the fact na insider siya, bolsters actually his credibility. Now, legally, si Madriaga, his credibility will still be tested naman kasi nga hindi pa naman siya nako-cross-examine. Hindi ko inaalis yung possibility that he could crumble under the weight of questioning and other evidence that Sara's legal team can present. So hindi naman tayo bias, no? Hindi sarado utak natin. As to the Supreme Court, I doubt that they will TRO the House kasi nga if they wanted to TRO the House, I think they would have already days ago or weeks ago. So since walang TRO na lumabas, and si Kong Jervil naman is a very great lawyer who's following the law strictly to the letter, and mahirap siyang i-accuse ng Supreme Court of being biased kasi nga pinipigilan niya yung mga probing questions even sa quote-unquote sa mga kaalyado or sa majority bloc. So people will not believe the Supreme Court if the Supreme Court issues a TRO. Ngayon, as to the Senate, I think this is putting on my political hat, not as a lawyer, dear Supreme Court. The reason why the Supreme Court could politically void and annul the impeachment proceedings last year is because nandun pa si Senator Chis Escudero as Senate President. And I think they knew that Senator Chis would likely comply in terms of either archiving or stopping the impeachment trial. Ngayon kasi, with Tito Soto as the Senate President, and I'm not saying he should disobey, I'm just saying realistically or factually, even if mag-TRO ang Supreme Court, I don't think Senate President Tito Soto will follow it. So, ang Supreme Court all over
Will
the
not
world
follow
as
it
a
by
political,
reasserting prerogative of the Senate on this issue? Like, what will be the legal basis of Senator Soto's?
yes, by asserting their co-equal status, the exclusive power to try the impeachment case under the Constitution. So, ano yan constitutional crisis. And I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying, in history, sa United States, may mga ganyang examples na Marbury versus Madison, na it's a game of chicken Unang magbe-blink. So I don't think the Senate will blink under the leadership of Tito Soto. Pag na-oust siguro siya, pag nagkakudita, baka mas likely for the Supreme Court to rule, to issue a TRO if ever. Pero nga, politically, I don't think they can do that now because the credibility of the Supreme Court also lies in their ability to implement their order. So if they issue a TRO and hindi siya susundin ng Senate, what can the Supreme Court do? Legally and realistically, in terms of police, in terms of sheriff, in terms of military, and I'm not advocating for it. I'm just saying, if push comes to shove, pwede silang i-ignore. And this happened during the Marcos years, but that was for a different reason, martial law. FM, as the president, ignored certain orders of the Supreme Court. That's why the Supreme Court under FM, senior, was very pliant to the executive. Ngayon, I'm not saying it's exactly the same. I'm just saying, what can the Supreme Court do against the political branches if the political branches don't follow the order?
Although the Marbury versus Madison was about judicial review, diba? In terms of it's more like the judiciary asserting itself. But nevertheless, Attorney Faz, I remember I heard a lot of argument last year from hindi si Associate Justice Ronald Llamas but former Associate Justice Carpio, among others, arguing also na meron tayong jurisprudential basis from you. Can you explain why is the US case relevant for us? Kasi sasabihin naman ni Robin Padilla, di naman tayo Bakit tayo nagsasite, nag-invoke ng US precedents for our operations dito?
Well, in terms of Supreme Court rulings ng US Supreme Court, we don't invoke it as precedents. Ako ang ini-invoke ko is the political history. And the reason why applicable ang political history ng United States sa atin is because our Constitution is generally patterned after the US Constitution. And then presidential system din ang United States, tayo presidential system din. So a lot of the things that are happening in the Philippines because we are a young democracy or republic has already happened in the United States, which is also young compared to Iran, di ba, na 7,000 year civilization. Legally, yung mga rulings ng US Supreme Court, we don't follow that as precedents, but what we follow as precedents are Philippine Supreme Court rulings which already incorporated US Supreme Court rulings. That's why we look at US rulings not because we follow them, but because the Philippine Supreme Court has already validated it
Interesting.
in previous Supreme Court decisions.
And so Attorney Faz, I know you need to leave na in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Or pwede rin tayong tanong bago ko balikan si Mark. Doon sa ombudsman, where do you see ombudsman in this picture? Kasi if this goes to the Senate, numbers game na naman to, di ba? And then now the ombudsman is signaling na baka they will, hindi ko lang may napanis na cheese or hindi, but sabi nga ni Lovely Granada, di ba? But, kasi ang concern namin ni Ronald, we have been mentioning, wait lang, if if it's a numbers game and then meron kang ombudsman going after certain senators, how is that gonna play? Kasi kanina you just mentioned the Soto factor, but I would also say there's a Remulla factor. How do you see this playing out? I know medyo speculative at this point, pero you could see medyo nagka-clash yung mga timings and parang game theory yan di ba? Kung, wait lang, kung kakasawan ako dito, boboto ba ako ng ganyan? You get what I'm saying? Like, where do you see that going, Jess?
Well, we already see na tumatagal na nga na hindi kagad nag-i-issue ng warrants of arrest. So that's why some people are speculating baka nagkakaroon ng negotiations. And I hope hindi ma-offend si Ombudsman or anyone because it's just reasonable for us to think na pinamis naman niya nung Pasko na may makukulong, tapos naging January, February, March, ngayon mag-iinit daw sa summer or panahon ng tag-init. So, may mistakes dyan on the part of Ombudsman kasi he should just either do it instead of flagging it. But in terms of the Senate trial, for the purposes of conviction, I can see one or two na baka inaareglo na if you vote for the impeachment against Sara Duterte, maybe and I'm not advocating that this is correct. I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying this is the political reality probably na baka may isa or dalawa doon sa tatlong pinakamalaking senador na nasa DDS block na pwedeng nagkakaaregluhan. Magkakaroon ng tit for tat, mahina yung kaso or hindi ka kakasuhan agad if you will vote against Sara. May isa or dalawa doon na magiging sacrificial lamb. Hindi talaga aaregluhin kasi nga sila yung hinihingi na ulo ng taong bayan. So that's one I see. The second is si Ombudsman mismo. I think yung personal involvement niya, like Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales, will play a big role. Regardless of the political factors I mentioned sa number one, kayang-kaya pa din makakuha ng administration ng 16 votes if the evidence clearly shows it. Kasi panahon naman ni Corona, madami din dyan mag-a-acquit sana ma-acquit sana si Corona noon. But Ombudsman Conchita Carpio Morales testified and nagkaroon ng dollar accounts, revelations. So nag-move yung needle ng evidence, nag-move yung political climate. So hindi ko sinasara yung doors for the role of the Ombudsman to ensure na magkaroon ng votes necessary to convict VP Sara.
And then papunta tayo sa last part, just before we part with you and balikan ko si Mark. What are you feeling about yung mga coalition building efforts, alignments, realignments? Of course, kanina lang pinost ko yung Okta naman, di ba? Na parang 10 points na lang yung difference between Lenny and Sara dun sa head-to-head race. I think 8 points dun sa mga ibang internal survey na nakita ko. How are you feeling about itong mga alignments, realignments bago ko balikan si Mark? Kasi ang dami mga may mga united opposition efforts ng DDS, non-DDS, and then may nagka-crossover. Saan mo nakita na pupunta ito?
What I always advise is there should be no explicit or formal endorsement of BBM of any Pinklawan candidate, whether that be Mayor Lenny, Senator Risa, Senator Bam. But what is a good movement is an anybody but Sara movement. So what people can unite on, Marcos loyalists, Pinks, independents, if they want to preserve democracy, if they know that Sara Duterte is corrupt and they don't believe in her, everybody I think will naturally converge or coalesce behind a candidate as long as isa lang yung tatakbo. So it requires the political elite na parang sa Hungary na wala nang ibang tatakbo. Isa lang ang tatakbo against the incumbent and then all the votes will naturally coalesce against the opponent of VP Sara. So I hope that comes out to be that is what happens. But if not, then we should still move to unite the votes, not the politicians.
And ano yung mga red lines dapat if ever yun, I mean, kahit naman subtle yan or hindi direct. Ang concern ng iba dyan is baka naman may deal din kayo na you won't go after certain people if they support you against Duterte. Like, how do you see that working out? I know hindi ka Ronald Llamas, but this is a very poignant. Ito yung tanong ng lahat eh. Wala naman libre sa politika eh. So with any coalition building, may ano yan eh, may mga trade-offs yan. Ano yung mga nakikita mong potentially ways to make sure na may credible candidate na also hindi ma-sacrifice ang long-term accountability?
I think dapat clear pa din na lahat ng sangkot dapat managot, pero ang caveat diyan, to appease the other parts of the coalition na baka matakot at hindi sasama sa coalition, ay just follow the evidence. Basta nandun yung evidence, susundan. Kung wala, edi baka makalusot sila. So pagalingan na lang yan dun sa mga ibang sangkot na walang evidence na lumabas against them. And I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that's the political reality na mahirap din for the common candidate to promise any promises except to just follow the evidence. I think that's the simplest promise that any unifying candidate can give to the political elite and to the public that will appease both of them.
Salamat, Attorney Falz. I know you need to go na, but just in case, balikan ko rin si Mark, no? So Mark, let's balikan natin to. So Mark, anong basa mo dito sa mga events ng mga kaibigan natin na nagsama-sama dito? Kasi
Yung sa
pinag-usapan
Rage.
natin off the record, I mean between us dun sa chat group natin, like, oo naman, kailangan ng coalition. Pero hindi naman pwede saling pusa, di ba? At kung saan-saan mapunta, baka ma-hijack pa. Pero I completely agree with you, Mark, na ang sabi ko lang, the devil is in the details. So, paano mo i-configure yan? So, what is your read on this issue?
Hindi, yun namang sa Rage Coalition, it's the same group, it's the same people, nag-rebranding lang sila, pero they made clear their intention na tuloy-tuloy na to. Sara Duterte is our standard bearer. Kung sakaling siya ay ma-impeach or may mangyari, hindi siya makakatakbo, Baste is our next in line. So they just kinlaro lang nila yung kanilang magiging direction for 2028. Ang naisip ko lang din after seeing that, maybe for the pink side, medyo in a way ganun na din eh. To make the intention clear. Kasi sa ngayon, ang nangyayari parang sino kaya sa between Risa, Lenny, Bam, kahit sino sa kanila, pero dapat siguro yung Liberal Party kasama nung mga ibang aligned na partido, make it clear na ang intention natin is to participate sa 2028 and we will try to regain back Malacanang and we will end yung 12 years na pamumuno between this unity Marcos Duterte, na we saw na kung anong klaseng administration yung that happened with the Dutertes, puro patayan, puro mga kung ano-anong impunity. Nakita din natin sa Marcos admin na of course yung flood control issue na yan, dyan naman talagang sumabog. So we are aiming to bring back good governance sa Malacanang and yun yung goal ng aming coalition. Whoever we choose as our standard bearer in the coming months. Para klaro din siguro sa tao na ito na yung isang grupo. We are in the process of selecting yung ating standard bearer and joining together the different groups that will push for that.
Correct. And Mark, since nakadilaw ako, all the Brazil dilaw, ito yung dilaw na very proud ako na sa Brazil. No, but balikan ko to, Mark, no? Kasi realistically, kung ikaw si BBM, susuportahan mo ba isang candidate na parang nandidiri pa sa'yo or lumalayo sa'yo? Parang, oo, para tayo ayaw natin bumalik ang mga Dutertes. Pero kung ikaw si Marcos, ano kaya sa tingin mo ang calculus ni Marcos for them to support the pink candidate or the progressive candidate? Di ba? I'm just being realistic here, di ba? Kasi may debate dyan eh. Yung sinabi kasi ni Jez na hindi pwede open endorsement. Ako naman sabi ko, feeling ko, realistically, baka hybrid ang mangyari dyan. Whereby, at the very least, siguro sa ibang regions, BBM will demand na, ano ba naman, susuportahan ko kayo, tapos nandidiri lang kayo sa akin, o lumalaya lang kayo. Parang hindi naman pwede yan, pare, di ba? Parang ano, user-friendly na, i-dump mo lang ako. Um, so realistically, net negative naman talaga siya in certain areas, but in the north of the country, BBM could be a net positive actually. So, baka hybrid ang mangyari.
Definitely.
Yun nga eh, but I know in terms of optics, magkakaroon ng sige, allergy na lang. Allergy yung ibang pink candidates to be next to BBM. But I don't know, kasi sensitive issue yan, Mark, dahil may mga nagsasabi, mga kaibigan natin na one of those pink candidates na minention natin ay mas bukas sa more explicit coalition with the admin. And anyway, kung hindi tatakbo yung isang pink candidate, pupunta rin naman sa kanya yung pink. And then kung medyo open naman with BBM, kahit may mga mainis na pink, wala naman choice, magsistick naman pa rin. At makukuha rin niya yung loyalist. So medyo false yung argument na either or yung isang pink candidate lang. Do you get where the the debate, kasi may debate yan eh. Off the record, ang daming debate about that. I think on the record also some folks raised that. Kasi for me, whether it's Bam, Rizal, Lenny, isa lang naman sa kanilang tatakbo, and whoever runs will get the pink vote. If not 100% of Lenny's vote, it's gonna be 80-90. And tama ka, with BBM, you might lose some, but if you don't ally with him fully, you're not gonna get the loyalist base. But then again, some people will say you might lose the independent voters. So, yun yung debate
Yun
ngayon,
eh.
Mark, eh. Kaya nga hanggang ngayon, I don't have a
That's
final
the
answer.
calculation eh.
Oo,
'Di ba?
medyo
When you make ito yung isang naisip ko din. Syempre, before any coalition will form, whether lantaran or patago, there will be negotiations. Ang punto ko siguro, yung pink side has more leverage pagdating sa negotiation. Okay? Kasi mas nasa delikadong posisyon sila BBM eh. Kung manalo itong si Sara, knock on wood, Lenny okay kay Sara. Si Bam parang okay naman doon. Hindi sila ganoon ka ano eh. Hindi sila ganoon ka. Maybe they could even soften yung para doon sa mga kasama nila na kaaway ni Sara para hindi masyadong mapag-initan pag kung sakaling ganun yun yung mangyari, di ba? If they don't get so merong ganung leverage in trying to negotiate a deal with the administration for them to get kung ano yung mga gusto nilang makuha. So mas ang yun ang punto mas kailangan ng mas kailangan ng side ng Marcos more than sa pink side na yon na kung sakaling mangyari nga yung sa Sara presidency. Pero yun nga ang ayoko lang ding mangyari kasi ang isang risk talaga is mape-frame na itong alliance na mabubuo ko niya, yung Unipink na tinatawag nila, could be a continuation of the last 6 years. Kasi ang mangyayari, yung bagahe of the last 6 years,
the
makakarga
Marcos
dito sa
baggage, let's just
kandidato
call it. Yeah, the Marcos
the
baggage.
baggage na hindi naman kailangan. Wala namang kinalaman, di ba? Kung si Lenny Robredo yan, kung si Bam Aquino yan, wala naman silang kinalaman sa mga Zaldico at sa mga Diskaya na yan na pwedeng iba to or pwedeng ma-associate doon sa admin. So yun yung isang worry ko lang din kung talagang magiging lantaran na magkakasama. Pero pwede naman subukan, di ba? Sa akin naman, kung yun talaga ang mapag-usapan, yun talaga yung at one-on-one yung laban, di ba? Tingin ko, maganda pa rin naman yung laban. Pero, ay mas concerned ko talaga, una, yung independent voters, lalo na yung mga independent voters na hindi ganon kaganda yung tingin kay BBM. Ayun, plus of course, kahit magtalo tayo or magdebate tayo, mag-usap tayo ng pink o loyalista, magsasamba o hindi, if we don't do well sa Lower Visayas and sa Mindanao, kahit anong pag-add mo sa kukulangin baka kulangin. So I think I would rather focus na yung how we could win Cebu, how we could win parts of other parts of Mindanao, Muslim Mindanao, o at least kumain man lang tayo ng boto doon. And then whatever configuration could best answer yon, and yung mga independents, I think that's the best way to go. Instead of, ang punto ko siguro sa on the Marcos side, wag masyadong masaktan. Kung feel nila is parang allergic sa kanya or merong konting hirit sa kanya, think of it as strategy din eh. Trying to win yung mga botante na maaring hindi ganun ka-satisfied sa admin ni BBM. Kasi yun nga, pag loyalista nga, parang I don't see talaga na isang hardcore loyalista na iboboto si Sara, considering na lahat ng mga threats na, di ba anong sinabi ni Baste? Isang ulo lang ang gusto namin, ulo ni Bongbong Marcos. Di ba? So I don't think any loyalista, Marcos loyalist would ever side, kung talagang loyalista ka ni Marcos, would ever side with Dutertes. And diyan kami nagtatalo ni Falces nung the last time na magkasama kami a few weeks ago. Kung yung sa
Yun nga,
bilang
napansin ko may
actually,
opinion differences tayo. Yeah, go ahead.
oo ilan ba ang diehard Pinks? Ilan ang diehard loyalista? Sino mas marami? Doon kami nagtatalo. I was saying na sa pag measure ko, yung when you say diehard talaga, as in diehard, like you said, kung hindi tatakbo si Lenny, they would go for Risa, they would go for Bam. I think mas marami yung ganun. Ikumpara mo doon sa mga diehard loyalista na kung sino yung i-endorso ni Marcos, kung sino yung candidate ni Marcos, kahit sino pa yan, kahit 'di ba, kahit sino, kahit si Irene Marcos yan, kahit si Martin Romualdez yan, kahit sinong iano ni BBM, doon sila kasi loyalista sila. So ang feel ko mas marami yung sa pink side na talagang diehard. Yung sumusuporta sa admin, marami. But it doesn't mean that they would vote for the candidate ng admin sa 2028 So yun ang isa pang magandang ma-measure din sana or magandang makita din And I think doon sa
Good point.
sa WR numero, medyo naano nila yun medyo nasukat nila yun. It shows din talaga na yung sa supporters ng Duterte, I think 2/3 doon mga diehard talaga. Compared doon sa admin supporters na I think 1/3 lang yung masasabi talaga na na mga diehard talaga na Marcos supporters.
No, that's a good. Ang gusto ko lang makita ng tao, bakit wala pa tayong final answer? Kasi nga marami mga anggulo ito na pwede natin debatein. Kasi yung una-una, for me, hindi natin pwede pag-usapan ng any Unipink, Grand Coalition, whatever. Pero tama ka, yung leverage kasi sa pink kaya nga Unipink na siya, hindi na siya Unit Team 2, hindi na siya Grand Coalition. But having said that, para sa akin, actually Tulfos pa rin yung decisive factor dito whether tatakbo si Idol Rafi as president or as vice president, one of the Tulfo brothers. Sa tingin ko malaking factor yan because the Tulfo base
Definitely.
itself is very large at feeling ko kung hindi mag-endorse si Tulfo, sabihin natin hindi tatakbo si Idol Rafi, kung hindi siya mag-endorse ng clearly ng isa pang candidate, sabihin natin obviously the pink candidate, ang laki ng chance na actually mapunta pa kay Sara pa. Na you rather have Tulfo run rather not run, di ba? And then the other factors yung independence. Alam natin 40% siya the other year, ngayon down to 20-25%, lumilit at lumilit yung non-affiliated. So yun din ang labanan. So pag ang question dito is Lenny the most competitive? Is Bam the most competitive? Is Riza gonna... Kasi feeling ko, you could make an argument for Riza by saying, kung sakali si Riza yan, baka mas komportable pa si BBM kasi alam niya, Riza is as threatened or if not worse by return of Duterte than BBM, right? So parang dito sigurado ako all in na yan si Riza, di ba? With Bam naman, the argument is, ang lakas ng performance ni Bam sa Senate, of course, it's a different race from presidency. Pero alam natin si Bam, ang lawak nung kanyang potential reach Dahil very calculated yung kanyang positioning and at the same time pink and progressive siya. So ang laki ng reach niya. So baka sa
Latino name pa, of
independence,
course.
oo, baka sa independence, bentang-benta si Bam. So that's why I also made an argument for Bam. And then with Ma'am Lenny, the interesting with Ma'am Lenny is that she's even coy, and yet siya yung pinakamataas sa mga surveys na hindi Sara Duterte. Down to 10% na lang sa Okta. Another survey, I saw 8% na lang. And then with the 3 to 5% margin of error, basically competitive na yung race. Especially after itong impeachment, di ba? So you can actually make an argument for each of these three. But may mga unknown pa kasi tayo eh. In terms of coalition building, in terms of independence number. But for me, the Tulfo factor will be very big factor here. Doon talaga, I think, agree tayo. Ever since naman sinasabi natin in Mark eh. Nung 2021 pa lang, sinasabi natin yung Tulfo factor sa any kind of presidential race. And here we are, 2026, 2027, papunta tayo dyan. Maraming salamat, Mark. No? I really enjoyed. Again, my apologies dun sa mga internet connection natin earlier. I'm using na lang my roaming. Gumastos na lang ako para magandang internet connection natin. Salamat. I think we had almost 1,000
May
live.
last ano lang ako, Richard.
Yes, bro. Please go.
Oo, hindi ako nasabi ko din naman nga before. Kung meron man lang talaga akong direction for the pink side moving forward to embrace yung other side ng party na could sometimes be critical sa admin din. To balance out lang, to show independence lang. 'Di ba? Nandiyan yung sa Egay Erice na ang ganda ng kanyang proposal ngayon na 70 pesos diesel cap. Na hopefully the party could embrace him more the same way that they do the other pink legislate the same way that they embrace Achel Jokno or a Leila de Lima, 'di ba? Kasi si Egay Erice, meron din siyang sariling mga ginagawa na okay din naman. And another one of course is si Luke Espiritu na more on the progressive side or more on the left-leaning side to embrace a broader coalition. We won't agree sa lahat ng mga policy, sa lahat ng mga issues, pero we could come together to form a super umbrella, super coalition to go against kung sino man yung itatakbo ng mga Duterte sa 2028.
Interesting. On that note, thank you so much, Mark. Balikan natin yun as we follow yung Sara impeachment. So talaga in person mo follow yan. So we're so lucky to have you, Mark. At tuloy-tuloy natin ito. Ang ganda. At least lahat naman tayo nag-Quadcom na tayo. Try natin sa Saturday or early next week. Ituloy natin ang Quadcom, hopefully back with Kristan, our other superstar dito sa maliit natin grupo. And of course, guys, wag niyong forget, wag niyong kalimutan, meron kaming plano sana mag-Vismin tour na rin. Um, uh, may mga nag-comment na naman. No, no, no. I mean, because, yun nga eh, excited kami na matuto sa mga perspektibo at saka magkaroon ng konsultasyon sa ating mga kaibigan, mga counterparts natin na mas magagaling sa atin in the Vismin world. Gusto natin kausapin. So hopefully, doon mga kaibigan natin sa Cebu, Iloilo, different parts of Mindanao, potentially we want to go to in the coming months. If you're willing to host our events and all, more than happy kami. But Mark, either way naman, gagawa tayo ng travel vlog, 'di ba? Regarding
Travel vlog tayo.
Oo.
Di ba, parang I think sa Naga magkakaroon sila in the coming month na parang balloon festival or di ba? Pwede natin supportahan siguro yun or something.
Exactly, exactly. On that note, thank you very much. Maraming salamat, Mark, and talk to you soon. God bless and mabuhay ang Quadcom Pilipinas.